This is a licensed technology out of Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
We have taken an early stage development project that had a significant amount of government and US NIH funding, and we've driven it towards a commercialization process.
BioNeex is the first biopharma R&D open exchange platform for licensing and co-development partnerships of drug candidates. We are working closely with biopharmaceutical companies that are actively seeking preclinical and clinical stage drug candidates for in-licensing and co-development partnerships to expand their R&D pipelines. If you are a development stage biotech company and are looking for licensing and co-development partners for your drug candidates, then list them for free on BioNeex and get contacted directly by these biopharmaceutical companies. We are already working with many partners. Would you like to learn more about BioNeex? Feel free to get in touch with us. We look forward to working with you.
Hello everyone, today we are back again with BioNeex interview. Our guest is today co-founder and chief scientific officer of Moexa Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Stephen Porter. Hello, Dr. Porter. It's great to have you today at BioNeex interview.
Well, good morning and good afternoon.
Thank you for being our guest. Moexa Pharmaceuticals is a preclinical stage biopharma company developing innovative treatments to address unmet medical needs in cancer immunotherapy and fibrotic diseases. Please, Dr. Porter, tell us more about the company and what makes this development stage biopharma so unique.
Well, we have a novel, globally patented TGF-beta and SMAD3 signaling anti-tumor technology. And we recently expanded some of our indications towards certain fibrotic ailments, especially interested in post-COVID related pulmonary fibrosis.
Thank you. And you mentioned about your technology. Can you tell us a little bit about more your proprietary technology and drug development pipeline, and what are the current indications that you are approaching?
Sure. Well, this is a licensed technology out of Hong Kong, we have taken an early stage development project that had a significant amount of government and US NIH funding, and we've driven it towards a commercialization process. So we've done a number of small molecule development programs, proof of concept programs in animal models of melanoma and lung cancer. And we've also increased a library of new chemical entity compounds around the SMAD3 inhibition process. And we're advancing the process into clinical trials.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. So as you are now advancing your drug development pipeline, as lots of small biopharma, biotech companies are always looking for licensing or co-development partners. What's your case in this situation? Are you currently looking for such partners?
Yes, we're open. We've had focused principally on developing a very global and strong patent strategy, literally in every continent that matters. And we think we've teed ourselves up for an early stage, either partnering or funding to a partnering event to finish our preclinical IND and first-in-man trials. And so we're looking for an ideal partner who would like to co-develop the process with us. We also, by nature of our technology, feel that we may be enhancing or synergistically involved in other targeted therapies around PD-1 or PD-L1 approaches. And I can get further into technology, but essentially we think that we may be enhancing those targeted therapeutics with a compound strategy or adjunctive strategy.
Mm-hmm. You said ideal partners. Who would be actually your ideal partners in such a cases?
Well, I've been in this business for many years. The ideal partner is one that believes in your technology and funds you to the point where you can get a successful milestone, and allows us to achieve those milestones in an expeditious way. Whether that comes from big pharma or small biotech, principally in my world, I believe the big pharma guys are waiting now to phase 2, 3 data before they do a strategic partnership. In the past, it used to be preclinical data, and they would join partnerships with you. So a small biotech or looking for a collaboration strategy or adjunctive strategy, or a venture group with a portfolio of companies that we would enhance their standing in these indications.
That's interesting that you are not only going for larger companies, but also mid-tier, smaller companies. Oftentimes, early stage biotech, biopharmas, they do that mistake. In our experience, they believe only the partner can be the larger one. The larger one, it's not always the ideal one, right?
That's correct. And it's their strategy, which I think is a risk reductive strategy. They're principally looking and are willing to pay significantly larger upfront and milestone payments for our technology that's been vetted through phase 2, phase 3, in some cases. In the case of our indications, of course, cancer is a little bit different than the standard therapeutic approach. I mean, you get a lot of success early on if you co-partner with biotherapeutics, diagnostic markers, genetic screens, and things like that will enhance the success and outcome. Theranostics is another term that could be used, but essentially you may have early signaling that is so successful, as we've seen in our animal models, that you might get the attention of a bigger company sooner with something that's just demonstrably so successful that they can't ignore it. But we'll see. It depends on the partner.
I want to inform our audience that Moexa Pharmaceuticals drug candidate is currently listed on BioNeex. So we want to welcome all these potential partners to come and sign up, and we have a free package for that to visit the drug candidate of Moexa Pharmaceuticals and get directly in touch with company's CEO, Anthony, and as well as with Steve, and they'll be happy to talk to you. And Steve, why you believe that BioNeex can help you on that to finding these partners?
Yeah, the portal of entry that BioNeex can help. I mean, the many strategic deals oftentimes start at the science level. Some start at the business development level. Some start, curiosity, interest to find out what the competition is doing. But our portal of entry to partnership could start with Anthony on the business side of it, the financing side of it. Start with myself or Ho-Yin Lo, Bob, who's our chemist, and he and I both have been involved in many molecule demand programs, and we could be used as a team for diligence for acquisition, partnering, or outright funding.
Thank you, Steve. Can you tell us a little bit more about the next milestone that the leadership team is, leading the company towards that in terms of like short-term, mid-term, and long-term that you have at the moment in the company's agenda?
Well, our pathway to clinical trials over the next 18 to 24 months involves, lead refining, optimization, differentiation of the molecules, more definition of the TGF-beta SMAD3 pathway. You're going to need some IND enabling protocols. Probably going to have to do some half-life PK, pharmacokinetic, and animal models. Routes of synthesis have to be optimized, although I will share that we have a very nice and elegant small step or short step of synthesis of these products. And then a little bit of exploratory tox. And that'll lead us into an IND package that will include a little bit more of our proof of concept. And then it's a regulatory affairs chase, it's a paper chase towards the IND. Additional CMC package will have to be completed, and a final DMPK, and then we're in demand into human trials.
Mhm.
So that whole process is about $2.5 million over 24 months. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, there is some risk. I mean, I'll be very open and honest with anybody that contacts us. There is some risk relative to the workforce. Much of the entire world has been disrupted, as you know. Many research facilities, laboratories, universities, CROs have been impacted by the COVID process, and timelines may be a little bit longer than we had judged from historical perspective.
Mm-hmm. As you said a little bit about the investment and funding, can you tell a little bit more how well the company is currently funded and what are you looking as the next round? Because lots of people of our audience, not only the strategic partners from the pharma side, but also VCs that they are interested in early stage investments in a biotech, biopharma space. So tell us a little bit more about your funding situation.
Well, we've been funded all along by the founders of the company. Some small grants, but most of the funding has come from the founders of the company. And we would entertain any non-dilutive, of course, grant funding from any government entity. We've looked at some in Hong Kong, particularly, but any of those grants would be welcome. We do have a collaboration strategy that's papered with Dartmouth College on our antifibrosis strategy. It may open up a number of new avenues of funding sources, but we do need to do some collaboration with them as a contract material service agreement kind of process at this point. And then finally, where a good portion of our funds, since we've done the proof of concept studies in Shanghai a year or so ago, is continue to support our IP, which is anybody who's been in the intellectual property chase in these biotech companies is a continuing but necessary expense to service and maintain the filings and the addition to the CIPs in these various countries. So we're going to need about $800,000 more to keep that program going for the next 2 years.
So are you looking at this stage funding and how big it would be?
As I said, because of the risk strategies of access to some of the resources, we function largely as a virtual entity and we work through CROs or academic collaborations. We're looking for $5 million minimal, but would give us a certainty of capital to allow us to complete these milestones with the enough of a cushion to allow us to complete them if there's any uncertain delays or unknown delays.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And as a co-founder of the company and chief scientific officer, can you tell us a little bit more about company vision of the leadership? What is the next 5-10 years? Where should be the Moexa Pharmaceuticals?
Well, from my perspective, this is an ideal, eventually, acquisition with royalty stream candidate. This is a unique technology, strongly patented and supported, specifically with very strong claims in Europe against all the SMAD3 targets of interest. And I think this is an ideal acquisition or partnering with a royalty stream program.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So some of our BioNeex member companies, biotechs, they want to develop the next biopharma in a specific areas, but it's very interesting that as an ideal acquisition target. Yeah, it's very direct and interesting.
Well, it's again, it's a cell signaling pathway. It's nothing. There's a lot of cell signaling pathway technology out there, but this particular one has such significant additional benefits that I think need to be elaborated. I mean, the basic premise of SMAD3 inhibition and the BMP pathways is that we have some very positive benefit of raising NKT cells. There's a real immunomodulatory response, and if you know anything about this area, that's one of the hottest topic areas is immunomodulation for cancer that enhances native immunity or enhances cofactors in the immune regulation attack on cancer. So we reduce CD31 and VEGF-mediated angiogenesis. We reduce MMP2 and 9 and 13 and CRX4-mediated matrix granulation. And as I said, we increase NK cell proliferation, which is nothing but a good thing in our minds relative to cancer addiction. So either as a single entity or as a adjunctive, additive, or synergistic approach to cancer, I think we're ideally suited for the next wave of cancer therapeutics, and to join an emerging and crowded space now in immunomodulatory oncology. But I think we're going to be in a very good position to partner and build that on the strength of our base technology.
Mm-hmm. And your company is currently incorporated where?
Hong Kong Limited. Yep, Hong Kong.
Perfect. And you have, you mentioned patent coverage also in US and in Europe, right?
US and Europe, definitely. I believe you have to talk to my patent guy, Tim, but I think we have Australia also, but I'd have to double check. But we definitely have the large Western world and US and also we have China too. That's a big one.
That's very good. So is there anything else, Dr. Porter, that I didn't get a chance to ask because we are now approaching the end of the interview that you would like to speak about?
Oh, and other than the fact that we're open to a dialogue, I'm willing and ready to speak to anybody on this subject and share with them the excitement of our compound series results and our proof of concept, and then help us get to that next stage.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. Thank you very much. I want to remind once again our audience that today our guest at BioNeex interview is a co-founder, chief scientific officer of Moexa Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Stephen Porter.